All right, my understanding is the jury's being lined up. And are we all ready to go?
Yes.
We're ready. Very good. Then let's bring the jury out and we will continue.
All rise, jury entering.
Thank you all. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here, for being on time this morning. I trust you all had a nice, relaxing evening. So before we begin, I do want to say some words to you. I know I've given you instructions multiple times on this case about the importance of staying away from media coverage about this case, and I trust you've all been doing that. But I have been told by folks that there's been a lot of discussion or chatter about this case on various websites. There are like those community pages and those town Facebook pages. So I don't think there's any issue with it, but I am just warning you, as you're on the internet or as you're going around to various places on the internet, just be mindful that on any of those sort of community website pages in this area, there could be posts or chatter about this case because it has drawn some attention. And I want to be sure that we have a fair trial in this case and that we don't do anything which would jeopardize the fairness of the trial or the integrity of this process. Okay? So with that, we will continue with now the cross-examination of this witness. Counsel, you may proceed.
Morning, Detective.
Good morning.
And I want to probably backtrack, go over a few things with you, and then we're going to go through some video too, okay?
Yes, sir.
Before I start, I want to make sure that, if I can, Your Honor, I want to introduce you to my assistant. That's Anara. They make believe I'm the boss at the office, but I'm not the boss at the office. And she's going to handle some of the video stuff as we go through, okay?
Okay.
But let me get back to where we are. And you went through fairly thoroughly your evening on April 4th of last year and how you were contacted and what you did, and that's quite helpful. About what time did you say you got to the scene?
I'd really have to look at my reports. Maybe 11:30, 11.
Okay.
I'd have to look at the
Right.
call log there.
All right, but by the time you had gotten there, Kyle had been taken off the scene.
That's correct.
Right. And processing was your big number one thing, right?
On the scene, correct.
Right. And you talked to the jury about the placards and the shell casings and so forth.
I did.
Okay. And that's all. The shell casings were all in pretty much the same area, right?
Yeah, around the same area in the roadway there.
Right. And the mark where Kyle was found and where he was treated was in the same area as the shell casing.
From probably about me to you.
And that particular spot is easy to find because you'll see blood. I mean, you'll see red in the snow, right?
There was like a higher concentration of blood there, and we saw him in the video as well.
Right. And that particular concentration of blood was right in front of 41 Summer Street, right?
That's correct.
And 41 Summer Street is the residence of Jason, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And in fact, it was right in front of his front steps, right?
Yeah, there's a front porch step area there and a side entrance as well on the driveway.
Right.
So it was on the front there.
So as we're looking at video, but I mean, basically, the shooting takes place like right in front of his house.
In the roadway in front of his house, at 41.
Okay. And his particular motor vehicle, the truck, was parked like in front of his driveway.
When I responded for the crime scene or during?
No. During the videos. I'm just trying to go through.
During the videos, it's in the roadway of Summer Street.
Right. When you got there, the vehicle was in the driveway.
Yes, it was.
Okay. And you were processing. Now, let's go through this. You showed the jury. Let me just approach for a second.
Mm-hmm.
What was marked as State's Exhibit 5, that's a firearm.
Correct.
Okay. And this is a firearm that would have been retrieved from Jason's truck.
Yes, it was in the driver's seat of the truck.
Okay, let me talk to you about that for a second. Your understanding and the means in which you actually procured the firearm is that Jason gave police permission to go into his truck and retrieve it, right?
Yes.
And when they retrieved it, they noticed that it was lying right where Jason told them it would be.
Yes.
And that he had made sure and told them that what he did with the firearm was to remove the magazine, separate it from the firearm, and leave it there for them, right?
I'm not sure what he told other detectives there. I was told that it was going to be in the driver's seat.
Right.
And that's how I found it.
Yeah, you saw it separated from the magazine.
Correct.
All right. Nobody from Rochester PD separated the magazine from the firearm.
Not from my understanding, no one touched the firearm.
All right. So I guess we can infer that if nobody else did it, Jason would have been the guy that did it.
That would be, yeah, correct.
Okay. And he would have done it prior to the police getting it.
Yes.
Okay. And your understanding is that when he was asked for permission to search the truck, he readily gave permission to the Rochester PD.
Yes.
There was a form that he actually signed, I believe.
Yes, I believe he had signed a permission to search form through Detective Garza.
Right. And, just briefly for the jury, the permission to search form kind of lays out his rights where he doesn't have to give permission to the police, right?
That's correct. It's a form that basically explains what we would like to search and the fact that you have a constitutional right to say, no, we don't want this to be searched. And that way we'd have to look at other means if we'd have to go through a search warrant or other options.
Right. But you didn't have to go through other options because, quite frankly, Jason made it easy.
He signed the consent to search, which granted us the right to search him.
But also during the processing, it came to your understanding that Jason communicated that he actually had video cameras, right?
Correct.
And again, that coming from him to you was something that he volunteered, right?
Yes.
And he volunteered it, and not only did he volunteer that he had video surveillance, he actually said, again, you don't have to get a search warrant. I'm allowing you to go and take whatever I have.
Yeah, he signed the consent form for the Night Owl DVR systems.
Right. And those are, in fact, one of those systems shows that good shot of his driveway straight down to Summer Street, right?
It does show the driveway there.
And that's from his system that he voluntarily said you can have.
Yes.
And then your understanding is that he agreed to go to the police station?
I was told that he had surrendered and was detained and brought back to the police station when I had responded to the station for the initial evidence crime scene.
Right. When the Rochester police got to the scene, he didn't give him any problems. He said,
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Right.
Watching video, I don't see that either.
and he just readily went with the Rochester PD to be questioned at the Rochester Police Department.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to make sure that's where we are for that evening. Also, there's an indication that once he parked the truck and prior to the police getting there, there's no indication in the snow that he tried to back the truck up or evade anybody, right?
I didn't see that, no.
He basically stayed there and waited for the police to come.
Yes.
You also found in the truck a loaded magazine with 9mm ammunition in it, right?
I did.
And that would have been during the course of you going through the truck, the very truck that he gave you permission to search and go through anything you wanted.
Yes.
He gave you permission to go into his home and search and look for anything you wanted. Correct?
To obtain the DVR systems for the recording, we were given permission to do that.
Did you ask him for anything else? I mean, did he deny anything? Did he say he didn't?
I never spoke to Mr. Levesque at all.
Any information that he didn't want you in the house?
This is from me on scene, processing the scene, saying, hey, we have this truck. What's the deal with this? And speaking to Detective Garston, who was speaking directly with Mr. Levesque. So I'm not sure, other than the fact that we were granted permission to obtain the 2 DVR systems as well as go into the truck to search.
Okay. Now, you showed, we were viewing videos yesterday, and some of them are tough to watch, not only because of the content, but because of the distance. You know, it looks like small people. It's tough to see actual, humans even interacting. Would you agree?
I wouldn't really agree with that. I can see 2 people living face to face. I can't see a conversation, but I can see the movements of the bodies.
You can see some movement, but that first one, that Exhibit 2 from the state that was shown, the first series on that, is from a distant camera from 43 Summer Street, correct?
We didn't play 43 video surveillance yesterday, so I'm not sure.
Well, actually, we did.
The 43, the audio?
Yeah, it had audio on it.
Okay. I'm trying to recall.
I think you actually went through, well, maybe we did, but I mean, you actually went through it, right, 43?
I did in the course of my investigation. I don't recall that specific camera angle being shown yesterday.
It's okay, we're going to get to that. 43, you went through line by line, second by second. You tried to break it down, right?
Yes, sir.
But that 43 video is a distant video.
That one is the furthest video away in the scheme of, distance to where the location was, correct?
Right. It's actually, you'd agree with me, tough to see the 2 individuals interacting closely.
For that one, yes.
But it did have audio on it that you broke down, right?
Yes, sir.
And you broke it down specifically. It was recorded at 10:11:22 p.m., which would mean 11 minutes after 10, right?
Yes.
And 22 seconds.
Yes.
And it was at that point in time that you heard and recorded, yep, there he goes. I don't know. He's all the way out there. He better not do anything stupid.
Objection, Your Honor.
Legal.
just go back to that a second, Detective. At 10:11:22. Sorry. Okay. Thanks, Sheridan.
I'm not going to test it. I'm going to have a medical emergency.
At 10:11:22, in your analysis, you've got Angela LaChance saying, "Yep, there he goes. I don't know, he's all the way out there. He better not do anything stupid," right?
Yes,
And that's part of your breakdown on that video from 43.
from 43, yep.
So on that breakdown from 43, you're also watching an individual that you would have identified as Kyle in your report.
Yes, Kyle Violette.
And in that particular video, just 8 seconds after that exclamation or that statement, you note in your report that Kyle is up close to Jason Levesque, who is outside his truck. Right?
I do.
And then at 10:11:37, you note that Kyle begins walking away from Jason back towards his house. Right? Meow?
If that's what it says in the bullets, yes. That's,
Yeah. Because you're keeping second by second track of this.
yeah, I was using a like a VLC player with a frame by frame, so you can click multiple frames in 1 second span, just because the movements were very quick.
Yep. And then at 10:11:37, you've got it noted that Kyle begins walking away from Jason back towards his house, right?
Yes.
But at 10:11:41, you hear Angela say, he better not do anything fucking dumb, end quote, right?
I do.
And 4 seconds later, Kyle turns around and begins walking back toward Jason.
Yes.
So he doesn't continue on his way to his house, right?
Not at that time, if I note that he's walking towards Jason.
And right after the statement from Angela, you see on the video Kyle turning around and walking back toward Jason. Right?
Yes.
Nothing would have obstructed him from going right home, right?
Correct.
There was no firearm displayed at that point in time, was there?
No.
And again, we don't have audio, so you don't know what was coming out of his mouth, right?
From my understanding, so that audio camera is the only one that had audio. You're not able to hear any conversations. If they were screaming at each other, I would assume that we could hear that because we can hear Kylan screaming outside. We can hear the conversations inside from Angela to her daughter, and we can hear them yelling outside, but the audio doesn't pick up what is being said between Mr. Levesque and Mr. Violette. That's
Right,
correct.
Right. I mean, you don't know what Kyle is saying to Jason.
Not at all.
You didn't know what he was saying when he was up close to him, right?
Correct.
You don't know what he was saying when he turned around and was pointing at things, right?
I do not.
And you don't know what he was saying when he, instead of going home, turned around and started back toward Jason, right?
That's correct.
And again, that's before any firearms display. Correct?
Yes.
Now, the shooting takes place just a second or two after that, right? From your breakdown.
Yes.
So it happens very quickly after Kyle turns around from walking away and then goes toward Jason.
The first shot.
Yeah. Okay. Agreed?
I'd agree.
And that's from that angle. Did you do any other video work? Did you slow it down? Did you blow it up? Did you do anything like that?
So on all videos, I would either use the frame by frame, and then on VLC player has an interactive zoom, which is just a zoom feature where I can take a box and drag it towards a certain area, and zoom doesn't distort anything, but it makes it bigger so I can see. So I did do that to see, try to capture more of the movements or anything.
Well, we're going to show you a few videos in just a second. Their defendants was A, B, and C. A, B, and C.
Okay.
And a lot of what you just described, like blow up and slow down, and definition,
Yep.
is going to be broken down in those.
Okay.
All right. And I'll ask you when we show them, with the court's permission, if you can step down in the well, because I'll have some questions for you, as we go through.
Okay.
Okay, good, fair enough. We can set up, Judge? Thank you. Tell me when you're ready.
Which one do you want first?
We'll go with A first.
Council, clarifying question. Has this been marked as an ID or an exhibit for,
Full exhibit.
has it been admitted?
Household A, B, and C are fully exhibited by agreement.
That is correct.
Very good.
The age of technology.
Is that our laptop? Do you want to use the other computer?
Council, would it make sense to just take a 5-minute break?
No, I think we fixed it. I think it was plugged into the wrong port.
Okay.
Not to speak for existing.
I don't know. Let me touch it.
Thank you.
We know. I think at this point it does make sense. We could use a little break anyway. We're going to take a 5-minute little recess, give you all a chance to stretch your legs. We'll get our technology straightened out and, oh, wait a minute. Are we there?
We're here.
Is that going to work?
Yes, it should, Your Honor. Fingers crossed.
All right. Everybody feel good? The jury, you all feel good? All right. Let's see if we can make this work.
Okay. Why don't you stop it right there? There we go. It's kind of self-explanatory. We've got a box around an individual there, and that would be Kyle Violette, right?
Yes.
Okay. This is the video from 43 Summer Street, right?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't we continue? And why don't we stop right here? All right, now, at that point in time, do you see Jason at all in the frame?
He's partially obstructed by the door.
Right, he's actually bending down, right?
Yes.
Right, so he's bending down. Is there any indication from that frame that Jason even is aware that Kyle Violette's approaching him?
Not that I can see.
Why don't we continue? Okay, why don't we hold right there? Now, this is the initial contact or the initial approach by Violette to Jason, right?
I have to watch. You're combining different clips. This is a 41 Summer Street, so
Yep.
I couldn't honestly tell you yes it is because I know that he goes back and forth multiple times.
Okay.
So with you combining them, I'm not sure.
No, that's fair. And what we're going to do is we'll continue with this so you can identify if you believe it's the first contact. Okay? All right, let's go. Right there, hold it. Now, do you recall that being the first contact?
I do.
Okay. And what do you see? Just, I mean, you know, we have to have a record of this. What do you see?
Sure. I recall it being the first contact because it's face to face with him.
It's face to face, and that's, we blew that up a bit so that the jury can see it a little bit clearer. Is that clearer than what they'd seen before?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. So that's the first contact or first, I'll just say, initial contact between Violette and Jason, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, why don't we continue? He's pointing, stop. Did he have another contact there right before he's turning around?
He seems to be continuing to talk to him.
Do you see Jason talking to anybody?
I can't see anyone but moving.
Well, why don't we go back? Can we back that up a little bit? Started? Okay. Okay, stop. And that's the first contact?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's start it again. Now stop. That's the second, right?
Yes, sir.
Start it again. Now there's the third, right?
If you're talking about contact with him kind of looking like he's re-engaging, yes.
Yes, he's re-engaging. That's right. And Jason is making absolutely no indications whatsoever of wanting to engage with him. He didn't follow him, right?
He's not following.
Right. He's just standing in the same spot. Right.
He is.
And now we got Kyle walking away for a bit, right? Stop. Now he's looking back. He looked back. He started pointing, right?
Yes.
It appears as though he's saying something, isn't
It looks like he's saying something.
it? Does it look like Jason's saying anything?
Doesn't look like it.
Why don't we continue? He's still pointing, right?
There he is.
Yeah, now he's turning back. And when he turns back, that's when the firearm is raised and he's shot. He discharged. Correct?
So this is a combo of different screens.
It is. You can stop right there.
So in my opinion, when I'm looking at that, this makes it look very quick, as if he shoots the one shot and then instantly shoots the 5 others. When I'm looking at the other DVRs, or the DLC, frame by frame, I see that he walks 5 steps forward while Kyle Violette is on his back trying to crawl away.
No, we've got that too.
Okay.
All right.
But, so that's,
No, I'm just trying to get the number of times that Kyle engaged with Jason so that the jury can see what we're talking about.
okay.
And I think we're up to 4 or 5 when he
You
turns
could be
it.
correct. Yeah.
Okay. So we can continue. All right, is there slow motion edit? This may be a little clearer as to the context. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And as he's walking back, that's when the firearm comes out, correct?
Yes.
So the firearm does action, and that action is Kyle walking back toward Jason, right?
It looks like he's walking back towards him when the firearm starts to come out.
Correct. Okay. Why don't we go on to Exhibit B?
So the record is clear, Exhibit B is also full exhibit, correct? Thank you.
Okay, let's play. And why don't we stop a second? And what are we seeing right here?
This looks like Kyle Violette approaching Jason's car.
Okay. And if we can continue. And stop. Now that's a pretty clear depiction of the initial contact, right?
Of the two bodies.
Yes. And as we saw, the only person approaching another person is Kyle approaching Jason, right?
Yes.
It appears there's 2. Great. Now, can we stop? In none of that sequence, do you see Jason making any movement toward Kyle, correct?
Right.
Right ahead. Stop. Sound, and it looks like Kyle's motioning and saying things to Jason, right?
It does.
And that Jason's doing nothing but standing.
Correct.
Continue. Stop. Now, in all fairness, I know it's a combination of things, but does that appear as though it's a continuation of his walk that just broke off?
And you had a good camera angle from the front of 41 Summer Street that would have shown this as well.
All right, but I'm just saying, does that not look like a continuation of the walk away and then the turning around?
The 2 different time cuts, yes, it looks like a continuation. It's hard to tell with the edits
All right,
if there's anything else missing.
all right. And if we can continue. Now he's going back, right? Stop.
Yes.
And it's at that point in time that the firearm is drawn.
Once again, this is 2 different video surveillance systems, and I do not see Mr. Violette moving at all in there at that point.
You may see him in a second. Why don't we keep playing? There, that's the stop.
That's in there at that point, yes.
Yeah, and he was facing Jason, right?
He's facing him there after Jason's taken a step forward with the firearm.
Right, and he's still facing him, right?
Right.
Right. Okay. Continue. And that's when the shot's fired, the first one.
That's the first shot.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Can we go on to defendant C? Okay, why don't we stop right here? Now, this is the shot, the camera from the garage area at
Yes.
41.
Correct.
And this is the video surveillance system of they can analyze or do whatever you want with, right?
Yeah, one of the two.
Okay. Why don't we continue with that? Why don't we stop? Can we back it up just a second? Okay, right there. Well, right there. You don't see Jason's head at all in that frame, do you?
I do not.
Okay. And it's consistent with him bending down, working on his truck, or doing some adjustment to the motor vehicle.
It is.
You don't see him reacting to Kyle coming toward him, right?
I do not.
As if he didn't know he was there. Right?
And with the truck parked, I'm not sure. It could have been bent over facing, could have been bent over, so I don't know. I'd be just getting my opinion on
No,
it.
that's cool. All right, why don't we get going on that? Right there. Okay, now he recognizes that Kyle's there, right?
It looks like he is facing me.
He's facing him and he's standing still, correct?
The video is frozen right now.
Right. Still, right?
Yeah, he's not moving.
The only guy moving is Kyle, right?
That's correct.
The only guy making approaches is Kyle, right?
Yes.
The only guy making hand gestures is Kyle, right?
Yes.
Okay. And he comes back, right? Thank you. You can resume your seat if you could.
Thank you.
You can reset the video, or put away the video?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we got through that without breaking anything. That's good. You went through yesterday the other work you did on the case, and I want to briefly just touch on it. You went down to Boston Medical and you collected a bullet or a frag.
I did.
And any other evidence, again, that you did some photography down there, I guess, right?
Did some photography the first time I went to Boston Medical, which would have been the day after the shooting, and then the bullet, I have it in my report. I think it was on the 16th, but it was a week or two after.
Right.
Yes.
You were tipped off to go down and retrieve it.
Right.
And then the only other thing of any substance, I guess, on this case would have been sitting in on Kyle's interview.
There was the documentation of the, I'm sorry, was your question, did I sit on the?
Yeah.
I did sit on interview for the CIC forensic interview.
Yeah. Can you explain what that interview is? I don't want you to talk about what went on in there. We're going to get that.
Understood. Yeah. Forensic interview, when someone goes through something traumatic, oftentimes we try not to have either law enforcement interview. We have trained forensic interviewers. So I would be in a different room. Video would be audio, video recorded. Either police interrogation or anything like that, and more victim-led discussion about what happened so that law enforcement can review. There is a time where I can, the interviewer might step out and I might ask, okay, can you talk about further questions? But that's really what the interviewer would bring up after. And then I get a copy of that video to be able to review it. The goal is to make sure that we're not constantly having law enforcement go interview someone that went through something traumatic, my partner go interview the same person, then DCYF or medical or anything, trying to re-traumatize someone saying that they went through something traumatic multiple times.
Right. And you want to do it in an environment that is, it's not a police station. Let's put it that way.
It's not at the police department. This one would have been at, I think, Haven, over at the community center in Rochester.
Right. It's not even in a police facility.
Correct.
Right. And you do that so that the individual, whomever that may be, is relaxed and so that they can be candid.
That would be the goal as well.
That is the goal, right?
Yes. The goal is to make sure that they're not constantly being interviewed multiple times too.
Right. And that they give you accurate information.
Yes.
If I could just have a second. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will, Your Honor, may we approach?
Yeah.
Scheduling in terms of a break. Is everybody in the jury box okay without a break at this point? We're thinking maybe another a few more minutes, okay? All right, thank you.
Detective Danny, I do have a couple of follow-up questions for you, just based on that.
I think it makes sense, Your Honor, if witness can step out of the box and we can set the TV up. It just makes sense to start there. Detective Danny, I do just want to clarify, clarification on this matter. Did you testifying?
I did not.
Okay. In the past, during your investigation, had you viewed that video?
I did.
Thank you. For a moment. Detective Danny, I'm actually going to the mouse that controls what's on the computer screen. For a minute. Yes. So VLC player, both just now with me and while you were speaking with defense counsel. Can you just tell us briefly what that is in broad terms?
Sure. I am by no means a software expert. It's a different type of video platform that has other options to be able to. So I don't have a frame-by-frame in Windows, so I'm constantly pausing. You saw how many times you had to pause. VLC player offers that frame-by-frame option. So that's generally used as a design for investigation.
So as you're viewing these videos during your investigation, did you view them in a frame-by-frame
I did.
setting? Are you able to demonstrate for the jury what that looked like as you were viewing it? Actually, Detective Danny, I'm going to move you over here with the court's permission, of course, just so we can maybe get this up with less distraction. And as you're kind of setting this up, are you able to tell the jury, are you doing anything to change the nature of the video itself?
You want me to get this up first before? So I just need the file here. So I'm going to the USB, the file, and right-clicking, going to open with. Instead of Windows Media Player, I'm going to VLC Media Player to open that.
Is this a photo editing software?
This is, to my knowledge, no, not a photo editing. It's just a viewing. I'm not sure if it has those features. I don't know how to use those.
So as you were viewing the video in the way that the jury is about to see during your investigation, were you altering the, I'm going to say, integrity of the video?
No.
Detective, are you able to demonstrate for us how this play-by-play feature looks as you're viewing it in the system?
Sure. Can you all see? Yes. So the bottom screen over here. Can you all see my mouse? Yep. This feature right here is frame by frame. So when I click it, I want you to just pay attention to each shot is different. You'll see that it's snowing. You see the car moving, but you can see that I'm clicking it sometimes, and that the second button up here is not moving all the way. So that's showing that there's multiple frames in 1 second. So if I click it really fast, you'll see that now we're at 5, now we're at 6. So that was a way that instead of just pushing pause, pushing play, pushing pause, and missing something, I wanted to at least see frame by frame, because I think we can agree that what everyone does matter in this case.
So, Detective, I'm going to ask you to do that again for a different portion of this video. Would you be able to move the timestamp, essentially the time bar on this video, so that it is at approximately 1 minute and 15 seconds?
Is it 1 minute and 15?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Is that what we
Believe so, yes. Okay. Can we then go through that kind of frame by frame feature that you were talking about?
Did you want the frame by frame or the zoom too?
The frame by frame, please.
Okay. So I'm down here at frame by frame.
I think I told you the wrong time. Let me double check that. I apologize. You have more experience on this than I do.
The bullets say like 22 something.
We fast forward it to where it is 22:16 at 42 seconds. Is that about where we're at? Okay. Can we go frame by, before we go frame by frame, can you tell us what we're looking at in this video?
This is at 16:40, so 10:16, 40 seconds in, and this is the point where Mr. Levesque looks like he has his firearm pointed towards the direction of the fire.
Okay. Can you go frame by frame for us?
So at this point, the firearm comes out. We can start to see Mr. Violette almost in a turn.
And at that point, I just want to pause you here. Are you able to tell, you'd mentioned just before this that Mr. Violette appears to have turned and seen the gun. Can you tell what direction his body is moving after he has, I'm going to use your words there, has seen the gun, has turned and seen that?
It looks as if, say the houses are behind us and I'm facing, it looks as if he's turning towards the right to turn away.
To turn back in the direction of his house?
Yes.
Please continue with the frame by frame.
So
Can you
this-
pause? At this point, are you able to tell which direction Mr. Violette was heading when the first shot was fired?
At this point, with this video, no.
Okay. Has the first shot been fired at this point in the video?
It is currently
tell
being
us-
fired, yes.
Can you tell us kind of how you can tell?
We can see that explosion from the barrel of the gun.
Please continue. At this point, are you able to see where Mr. Violette is?
I'm not.
Are you able to on a different video?
I am.
We'll go there in a moment. But for now, please continue. And if you wouldn't mind just kind of telling us, I know you talked a lot with Attorney Sisti about your process of going through and marking it each time what you see. If you wouldn't mind doing something similar just verbally for us today.
Okay. So if I was to be writing this, I'd say 1642, 1643, I see Jason with his hands down, side, facing towards Kyle's direction. One step forward, starts to raise his hand, pointed towards Kyle's direction, but now I see that it's pointed towards the ground more. 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps. It's out of frame, partially out of frame. Starting to walk back towards the truck, turns around to look, appears to be looking down, turns back towards the truck and starts walking back towards his truck.
I think we can pause this frame by frame here, and I'm going to see if we can open one of the other videos, the porch view, if you wouldn't mind.
So porch view, I'm right-clicking again, and instead I'm opening with the LCD media player.
As it's in the process of being projected onto the screen, if you wouldn't mind just narrating to the jury, what is this process again that you're going through? Is this the same that you just went through in the first? And again, are you altering the integrity of the video as it exists?
I'm not.
Would you mind fast forwarding to 22/16/36? Is it set up to do that frame by frame that we discussed?
Yes, it is.
Would you mind going through that process and kind of conducting a similar narration of what is visible as you're going frame by frame?
Yep. So I believe I see Kyle walking towards the direction of his house. He's turning, facing towards the direction of Mr. Levesque, walking towards Mr. Levesque. Out of frame, I still see a shadow. Looks like he's taking a step forward. I see both shoes if they're pointed towards the outside, as if he's turning.
I just want to clarify what you mean by that. Both shoes as if it's pointed towards the outside.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So if he's facing and turning this way and both of his shoes, I start to see they're not pointed towards the direction of the truck. They're starting to point towards the opposite side of the road, leading me to believe he's turning around.
Thank you. I appreciate your demonstration.
Yeah. At this point, I'm starting to see Mr. Violette fall down to the ground. And I'm starting to see both his hands right here. And I'm starting to see him in the position while he's crawling He starts to begin to get on all fours and start crawling, facing towards his house. And at this point, I'm starting to see some introduction of, I guess, almost smoke or disturbance, which kind of leads me to believe that these are the next series of shots that are there.
Would that also be consistent with where those shell casings were found and
It
where
would.
the blood was located on the scene when you arrived?
It would.
I know we just watched the previous video where you see more of what the defendant is doing in this moment, but based on the timestamps and what you've seen in both videos, are you able to tell at what point the defendant begins advancing towards Mr. Violette?
I'm sorry, can you ask that?
Yes. So are you able to tell based on looking at the video we just watched and this one, as well as what both parties are doing during those videos, where Mr. Violette is located when the defendant begins advancing towards him after that first shot, where his body is placed?
Where Kyle Violette's body is placed when Mr. Levesque advances towards
Yes.
him. He's on the ground, looks like he's either on all fours or trying to crawl facing towards his house
Thank you. This is
with his back up. This is ultimately where he was, I believe, located in the more concentration area of blood was found.
Your Honor, one moment. Detective Danny, I have one more video that I'd like us to take a look at. You wouldn't mind closing out of this one.
Counsel, I'm sorry, I probably should have done this before. All the videos you're showing him now, these are all contained on State's Exhibit.
2. Yes, I apologize, Your Honor. I should have
That's all right.
clarified that. These are all in State's Exhibit 2. They will all be made available for the jury.
Just want to confirm what we're looking at.
Yes.
So these are multiple files on State's Exhibit 2. Thank you.
So, Detective Danny, is there any other way that you were able to view these videos besides that frame by frame in this media player?
Yes.
What else did you use in order to enhance your viewing of these videos?
There's a feature called interactive zoom, which you can get a highlight box and kind of drag and drop to an area that will zoom into that area to see a little further.
And I think I asked this on the other videos as well, but I'm going to ask it again. Does this alter the integrity of the video as you're looking at it?
No.
Are you able to demonstrate for us what that looks like on this video?
Go to tools, effects, filters, video effects, geometry, interactive zoom, hit save. Now I have a box that I can highlight an area that I might want to watch.
And I just want to be clear for, it looks like there are two little screens.
Yes,
on this.
correct.
Can you tell us what this one in the corner is?
The corner screen is the actual view of what the, it contains a white box that you can drag and drop to an area. So for instance, if I wanted that top left corner, I would drag and drop, and now this bottom part is that zoomed in area of that white box.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. If you wouldn't mind, on this video, fast forwarding it to approximately 22 minutes into the video.
Is that 1022? 2222? Or is that 22?
On the-
It's 2200. Or you just
On the
want
bottom,
on
yes.
the bottom?
Approximately 22. 2155 is fine.
Is that fine?
Are you able to then move that box so that the focus is exactly that? And can you just narrate for us what is in kind of focus of this zoom?
Yeah, this is the driveway of 41 Summer Street, and it's the front of Mr. Levesque's truck, his plow truck, and showing some of his driveway and a car that's there as well.
Okay, would you mind, are you able to do the frame by frame on this as well,
I am.
while it is zoomed in?
So right here I'm able to see Mr. Levesque and Mr. Violette. Did you want me to continue?
Yes,
frame by
please
frame?
continue. I know you discussed earlier with Attorney Steve that you are not able to hear what Mr. Violette is saying in any of these videos. Are you able to hear if the defendant is saying anything either?
No, there was no audio in any of these videos.
Are you able to say with confidence if what was said by either party?
No. So at this point, if I were to go back, sorry. So at this point, I start to see Mr. Levesque actually make a move, and I can see his hands extended out. When I say make a move, it almost seems like he's moving forward while he starts to have his hands extended out. And I see Mr. Violette taking steps forward, and I start to see him turning around and walking backwards while Mr. Levesque takes a step forward. And then with the hands going down.
I just want to clarify for a moment. When you said had his hands out, is that in general his hands are just kind of out while gesturing?
His hands look extended out as if he's holding a firearm.
Thank you. Please continue with the frame by frame.
So hands were down, hands, this is what I'm talking about, with hands extended out as if he's holding a firearm again, and now he's starting to take steps forward. And I note that the focus and with the hands also seems to be at a downward angle. And he's walking back, looking back, and walking back.
Thank you, Detective. You can resume your seat. Detective, can you tell us what the value is for you during your investigation and viewing the videos the way that we just showed the jury?
This is such a, it doesn't appear that he's denying that there shots happened, right? And he was the one that shot. So really this comes down to when I'm trying to be on like a fact-finding mission, what happened in those videos if you watch just 10 seconds.
Clarifying question.
Yes, Your Honor. Detective, let's back up a little bit.
Sure.
Does going step by step and frame by frame in those videos, is it easier for you to get a clear picture of what happened?
It is.
Is that in part because when you just watch them straight through?
Yes.
So when you go frame by frame and when you zoom in, Does it allow you to get a more accurate picture? Does it allow you, in cases like that driveway video we just saw while zoomed in, does it allow you to essentially cut out the extraneous part of the video and focus on what you're needing to be focused on during your investigation?
It does.
One moment, Your Honor. Detective, I have no further questions for you. Defense may have you.
Thank you.
Briefly, Detective, that was a helpful presentation. Thank you. When you view the videos in real time, real time, not breakdown time and not frame by frame time, it does go by fast, just like the prosecutor said.
Yes, sir.
In fact, and it took only 5 seconds from the time Kyle made his last turnaround and approach to Jason until all of the gunshot was over.
If that's what the bullets say, then yes.
5 seconds. Correct.
Correct.
And as we watch these various videos and various angles, you'd agree with me, there was only one person who appeared to be confronting the other person, right?
I guess it depends on what you're qualifying the confrontation. I would say anyone pointing a gun is a confrontation too.
Let's go before.
Before that?
Yeah.
Yes, I'd agree with you.
Yes. And that person would have been
Kyle Violette.
Kyle confronting Jason, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now,